Jennifer Webbles. I am the owner-operator of Maelstrom Fiber Arts. I can be found at maelstromfiberarts.com, and you can find me on Etsy. In my past video, I made a reference to an ancient, something that predates knitting. It's called Nalbinding. I think I called it Nalbinding before, but it's actually pronounced Nalbinding. So I promised you a little snippet of what I found, and actually what I found was really cool. There is a whole underground that was unbeknownst to me of people who currently actually still do this form of knitting or weaving. It's more like weaving. What it is they would take a single needle, usually made out of bone or wood, and they would start the stitches actually on their thumb and go from there. And I don't know how to do it yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna explore this a little bit, and then in the next video I will show you a demonstration of what I have learned as far as how to Nalbind. So, but I just want to give a little bit of background on what I learned as far as the history of it goes. Apparently it predates knitting and crochet by at least 2,000 years. The oldest find in Northern Europe is dated to 4200 BC, and it comes from Denmark. And I think that's the picture that I saw when I first learned about Nalbinding. It was a sock, or a pair of socks that were very tattered and worn, obviously, but the fabric is very dense to me. This is what it looks like. It looks a lot like, basically like what it is weaving. I saw a picture of, which I will show you. I saw a picture of a hat that was made by Nalbinding, and it looks, the texture, the stitch definition looks a lot like just a woven, like a knit stitch, the weave stitch. Sorry, dogs are fighting over chew bones. Behave. A lot of these artifacts that were found were previously misidentified as knitting, but the term Nalbinding was introduced at the beginning of the 1970s by Martha Broden and translates to mean needle, to bind, or to sew. So it's pretty interesting, you know, this whole art form of weaving just from one needle. I read somewhere that if you really, it showed in ancient times how much you really cared for someone if you made something for them by Nalbinding, because it took so much time. You know, when knitting came along, it took off because it was just a whole lot faster than Nalbinding. With Nalbinding, if you snag a stitch, the fabric will not unravel. Whereas with knitting, as we all know, if you snag something, it's going to unravel like crazy, and you know, it's ruined unless you catch it in time, and darn it. So it's a lot sturdier, a lot more durable and thicker and warmer than your traditional knit fabric. So very interesting. This month coming in my shop, not only do I have the auto-wrapped art yarn that I showed you earlier in the video, those are coming up, and also I'm spinning a lot more chunky yarns, just because it's fun and it goes a little faster, and I just love knitting with it. It's squishy and soft and beautiful. So anybody, I mean, that's the reason like Malabrigo Rasta is so popular, or Cascade Magnum. I'm making a lot of yarns similar to that. Some I will not only be spinning, but I will also be hand dyeing them. So they're going to be very special, very time consuming for me, but very, very special. And this is a skein, a colorway called Modesty, which I've had in my shop before, but just never in this super bulky weight yarn. So I'm making a bunch of super bulky weight of these, and these are going to be available within the next week as well. So if you're interested, you can head on over to maelstromefiberarts.com and check that out. I do have a VIP club on my site where every month I send out an email, a newsletter with an exclusive code that I do not publish anywhere on my site. You can only get it if you subscribe to the club. And if you do that, you get these exclusive codes, which are deep, deep discounts that I do not publish anywhere else. So if you're interested, you know, I don't sell your information or send you junk mail or anything like that. It's just specifically for the purposes of shop updates and giving you that exclusive code, those exclusive discounts for the next month. So I will also be having some giveaways, and that's the only way that you're going to have access to that too, as well as if you subscribe. So if you're interested, go to maelstromefiberarts.com. You can scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and there is an opportunity for you to join the VIP mailing list. So look for that, and have a crafty and wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.